Wow, does this new update look amazing? The art team really has done a great job. I love this new water. There are some issues with this patch overall in the PTS. We'll get into that, but let's start off with the really good things. There's a lot to like about this next update 10.10, and a lot of it comes to the graphics department. For me personally, I didn't actually think this game looked all that great, at least as a 2021, nearly 2022 type of game. It looked alright for 2018, is kind of my opinion on it, but with this new update with the water, and more specifically the two maps that got remastered, redone, Hotspot and Two Brothers, wow, this looks good. This looks really good. The lighting has been, I think, redone on these maps, along with the textures, the trees, all of the beaches seem to have a little bit more detail in them. Here you can see the textures. I tried to get it as smooth as possible. Really high quality stuff. It's a noticeable difference compared to the older maps. I can tell immediately when playing on the other ones in this PTS. So seriously, really well done. Just look at how the wake is forming, the foam, it looks good. It looks really good. There's still trees in the water behind this rock, as you can see. Kind of a funny thing. And of course, you can see the volcano that's been added to Hotspot, which is super duper cool. The Annapolis, if you're wondering, is one of the new Superships. And it's just a Des Moines with 12 guns. The Autoloader on this one is dreadful. It gives you 2 salvos and you have to wait 30 seconds. And when you have a 5-second reload normally, that means you get triple the DPM if you don't use the Autoloader. So kind of interesting there. One of the issues with the graphics, as you can see if I just zoom in on some of these shells, is the chromatic aberration. It appears that's been either cranked up a lot compared to the normal game, or that it's just been added in this new update. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. It makes it look kind of odd. That's why I think a lot of games have the option for you to turn it on and off. I don't believe I saw it as an option to turn it on and off. I'm sure that'll be added in the future. The film grain effect, all that stuff. You guys have played the other games that look really good, I'm sure, in 2021. They all have these options, and I'm sure this game will get that as well. Personally, not a huge fan of chromatic aberration. It's a side effect of camera lenses that I don't think needs to be in video games. But this is a really good looking game now. I love these maps. Unfortunately, I'm going to be pretty demanding in the future of new maps that look this good. Now that we know what's possible, honestly, it's time that other maps all get this kind of treatment. I think this looks amazing. Honestly, I forgot the controls for the free cam, so we're just going to be sitting here while I try and figure this out. But look at that volcano. Beautiful. And the water, I love the transitions between different colors and different roughness of the water in different areas of the map. You can see some smoother areas, some rougher areas. White caps actually look pretty good here. And we finally figure out how to move around. Unfortunately, I also forgot how to go up and down vertically, so we're going in. If you want to know, this is what's in the volcano. I was hoping that just like in the free cam after you die, it'll just automatically bump you up over these islands. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but gives you an interesting look inside this volcano. Seriously though, this update looks amazing. I'm really happy with it. And it makes the other maps look a little flat. The lighting on the other maps doesn't look as good. The textures obviously aren't as good as we zoom in and out. Sorry. Hopefully that doesn't get you too motion sick or something like that. I was trying to figure out what the up and down was. But this looks really good. The steam coming off of the lava flow, really cool stuff. So even in the other maps where we get the new water updates, which looks really good, it doesn't look quite as good as on this map or Two Brothers because of the lighting change. And it's pretty obvious now that there's some pretty low-res textures on a lot of the islands in this game. The other thing I really do think you should notice is the draw distance of the trees. The trees are drawn way farther out now. I'm really happy about that. That was one of the little things that it bugged me about the graphics in this game before is that the draw distance for trees was so close that I would just see the pop in all the time. And that got a little bit distracting, and something that really frustrated me about it was playing on my PlayStation didn't have that kind of pop in. So I was playing on my console and it looked better than playing on PC. That is no longer the case. This looks awesome. I really, really like this. This is a really huge change and makes this game so much more interesting to look at and much better in 2021. So the Annapolis is not a very interesting ship in my opinion, but the Conde, I'm mispronouncing that, I guarantee it, but the French Super Henry 5 maybe, is one of my friends got to calling it. This thing claps, and this autoloader is very well worth using. And to show you why, we're going to look at an Annapolis that just barely nosed out too far. We have AP loaded. That's a lot of AP. And we nearly one-shot him. You can see just how horrible the dispersion gets. You do get a dispersion decrease or a nerf when you use the autoloader on this ship, whereas the gimmick for the Annapolis or Super Des Moines is that you get a dispersion buff by 25%. So there is maybe a reason to use the Des Moines or the Super Des Moines autoloader sometimes if you're trying to get that devastating strike, but that 30-second penalty for 2 salvos out of the Super Des Moines is pretty rough. Here you're getting 3 salvos, 4 salvos? I actually haven't really counted specifically, but the amount of damage you can pump out is really, really nice and well worth using some of the time. Your sustained DPM, I do believe, is better still when you're using the single loader, but it's just hilarious the amount of damage you can pump out of this thing. This ship is the most fun super ship to play, in my opinion. The destroyers don't look that interesting to me. As we nearly die to the other team's Super Henry. But look at the HE output. I missed a lot of that, and we still nearly one-shot the DD. He does get an autoloader on his guns. It's basically a Kaba with an autoloader. And the Japanese DD is a Shimakaze with 3 more torpedoes, and the option to swap between the 12-kilometer and 20-kilometer torps. It doesn't really feel like a super ship. Also, I have found that the super battleships are basically the same as what they were in the previous round of testing or super grand battles, whatever it was called. So not a lot of changes other than you can decide when to activate the secondary boost and the accuracy boost on the Hannover and Satsuma respectively. But running IFHE on this thing, just look at that HE damage into a Hannover. Yeah, this thing is a battleship killer. It kills everything. This ship is so good. It's so fun to play. But I do have to wonder. I don't think it's very good for the game. Imagine playing your tier 9 ship. You just get your tier 9 rune, and you run into this thing and it can one-shot you with HE. I don't know if that's such a good option now in the game. That's the unfortunate side of this update. There's a lot of positives in the graphics department and very good modernization, especially in the way the game looks. But I think these super ships really just don't belong in the game. I'd rather have them than aircraft carriers and submarines, for sure. Don't get me wrong, they're at least surface ships. But some of these surface ships are insane. This poor Hannover is about to get farmed really hard. I think we did all of his health pool in this entire game. So this ship, much like the Henry, used to be at least, just can dance around battleship shells and farm them like crazy. IFHE doesn't really work when we hit only the belt armor, but this thing is ridiculous. Something I'm doing here is I'm actually sitting just outside this guy's secondary range. It's 12.5 on the Hannover, and I wanted to see how close I could just sit in front of this Hannover, who does have overmatch, by the way, right? 480mm guns on that thing, and just kill him, basically, for free. There's not a lot he's going to be able to do here. We're not using the autoloader in this situation because he does damage con, and I'm trying to just use my DPM at this point. I don't want to have that extended duration of not being able to fire. What I think these autoloaders are going to be really, really good for is opportunity shots. So when somebody damage cons, you probably want to swap to the autoloader to guarantee a fire. Or if somebody's about to go behind an island, you probably want to swap to the autoloader to guarantee those last couple of hits get in, right? There are a good couple hits from the Hannover on our ship, and we hardly took any damage. Yeah, battleships are kind of sad in this one, but that's pretty standard. I think most things are pretty good at farming these ships. So if you're going to be playing the battleships, make sure you're using islands to push in with if you are pushing in, and try and probably snipe a little bit. That's probably going to be my advice. But as this guy's about to get behind the island, right, we use the autoloader to guarantee a few more salvos quick, right? Really, really good stuff. A lot of fun to use this French cruiser, but I think it's really the most interesting one. It's probably a little overpowered compared to the other ones as well, so I would expect to see some nerfs on this thing or some buffs to the other ones. So the water, as you can see, does look pretty good here. The wakes look good, I think, but you see what I'm saying when it looks a little flat, right? It just doesn't look quite as good as Hotspot did, right? And I didn't get actually to play on Two Brothers, just didn't get the RNG to get that map. Yeah, this poor Hanover. What are you going to do against a kiting Henry V, the upgraded version of Henry IV, right? But let's talk about the good stuff. The good stuff, of course, is the graphics. Look at this Philippines port. It looks amazing. The updates to the terrain, all of the models of the surrounding buildings, trees, vegetation, everything. It just looks so much better. There's more, I think, volumetric lighting and fog in a lot of these places, and it looks so much better. I love this. If you're wondering, here's the graphics settings that I was using, just pretty much maxed out outside of anti-aliasing with 4K, and I'm running a 2070 Super, and I was getting around 55 FPS in port, and in-game 75 like normal. I noticed around 10% extra on the percentage of GPU usage. So it's still a really easy game to run, let's be honest. But it is a little bit more demanding now. But what's really nice is you can turn all of this off by just lowering your settings. You get the old water and a lot of the old effects back. So on lower settings, I believe it'll still be just as easy to run. It's only when you max things out, it's going to look that much better. So really huge fan of that. Unfortunately, a little bit of an odd thing on the PTS is this is the port you spawn in on. The Black Friday, give us your money, pay, spend port, which doesn't appear to have really anything updated on it other than banners that are just there to try and get you to spend money. Even the blimp. And I found this so odd because most people are going on PTS to try out Superships and to see the new graphics. But the new graphics really aren't shown that well on this port, other than the water. So yeah, kind of odd in that case. I was expecting to see the Philippines port, honestly, because that is the nicest one, the newest, nicest one. But instead, we got more of the Black Friday pushed on us in a PTS where we're not even able to buy the Black Friday stuff. So kind of an odd thing there. Not every port has been updated, as you can see. The fjords, which still looks really good relatively, but it doesn't look quite as good as the Philippines. The lighting's not as good. And of course, the texture quality is not as good. Personally, to sum up this video, I'm not all that happy about Superships being added. I think it's just going to make the game balance a little bit worse, a little bit harder to play. And I think that the graphics updates have been a long time coming, and I'm pretty happy with them. I hope that Wargaming continues to update all of the areas of this game with better graphics. You can really see the lower textures here on the Hawaii port, right? They should really update all of these ports and all the maps. It looks so much better with the new maps, the new lighting, the new assets, and the new water. So I'm looking forward to this update, if I only for the couple of maps and the couple of ports that look better. But unfortunately, Superships don't look like they fit in the game all that well at this point. But it does bring a lot to the table and fixes one of the biggest issues for me as far as the art style goes that was really preventing me from praising the art team too much, and that was the graphics. Yes, they are doing better than a lot of the departments, other departments in World Warships, but it's not a very high bar to clear some of the time. So I'm really happy with this. Not a lot to complain about other than not all the maps have the new graphics. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. What do you think about these super ships? I'm not too interested in having them in the game. I'd prefer a little bit more balance being done with the existing ships we have. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.